Hi guys, it's Michelle Patterson here with Angel Souls, and for this video we're going to be covering the topic of signs from angels, numbers. Repeating numbers. Now there's all kinds of information out there all over the internet. There's some numerology approaches too, but what does it specifically mean when angels are using numbers to grab your attention? Let's get into it. So again, you've heard probably lots of people's takes on this. All of it is valid, and I'm going to go through kind of maybe what you've already heard before to begin, in case somebody's watching this and they, really, I don't know what 1111 means. We'll go over that, but then I'm going to add in some guidance that I'm getting through about those numbers. But they're really wanting me to stress to you that no matter what somebody tells you the number means, you have to pay attention to how you feel when that number comes up, okay? That's your message. And of course, if you're getting these repeating numbers and you know what they mean, but you're not really sure what to do with it, you can always get a personal reading, okay? Whether it's with me or with somebody else, whoever you're comfortable with, it's a good time to do that. And of course, if you want to get an angel reading with me regarding angel numbers, angelsouls444.com, services page, all the information is over there, okay? All right, so I'm going to start with some of the more common ones, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit, and I'll give you some final thoughts. 1111. Oh my gosh. I remember when I used to see 1111, I would get all giddy, and I was like, ooh, make a wish time. It's time to make a wish, and it felt magical to me, and I would even say to people before I knew anything about it, I'm like, ooh, it's 1111, make a wish, so on and so forth. And really what that is, it's a call to awakening. It's a call to ascension. And the way the angels, it's my understanding, the way they use that, we're very visual beings, okay? There's even, I didn't look this up and I should have, there's even a psychological term for noticing repeating patterns, okay? So, scientists will say, well, that's all that's happening. But I think that's more the angels just know how we function, and so they're using that to get our attention. So if you see 1111 or you wake up, this is typical. Angels will wake you up in the middle of the night because it tends to be where you're a little more open and receptive. So if you do wake up, it used to happen to me all the time, and I would look at the clock and it would be various times. Sometimes it is 4:44 in the morning, so on and so forth. But if you're seeing 1111 or 111, this, like I said, is the call to ascension. It's a call to awakening. And they're giving me the image to always pay attention to what you were just thinking about when you see 1111 and notice how often it happens. But think of it as like, almost a couple of ways we can look at this. So like swords coming out of the ground, right? Archangel Michael uses swords, intellect, clarity, cutting away the BS, right? Seeing through dilemmas, seeing through, your own definition of yourself, cutting that away, cutting old things loose. You can also see it as like rods coming out of the ground. So that is support, a structure, right? Stability, time to get real, time to stay in your lane and get going on this. And so it's very creative. It's very life force. Okay. But there is this idea of like pillars, right? The 11s. And there's 4 of them. Now, 11 is a master number along with the number 22. So those don't reduce. However, if you were to reduce them, especially 1111, you have 4. 4 is, in astrology, the house of what? Home and family. So there's this coziness, this like structure. I'm safe. I'm safe in understanding who I am. I'm safe to go down the road that my soul is ready to go down. Okay. And you can think of it that way too. It's like your soul's calling. All right. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that if you see 1111 that you're supposed to change your path, or not necessarily. It's just awakening. Okay. And whatever results from your awakening will be. All right. So speaking of house and home, the next repeating sequence that people often see is 444. I'm about to hit 444 on my camera right now. Here we go. Let's wait for it. Come on. This is totally, there it is. 444. That was contrived. So angels will use 444, and I use it in my email address and everything like that. But they'll use that as a sign that you are at home with us. You are okay within your own skin. We are with you. We love you. We support you. And so often people love talking about I want to find my soul tribe, or I want to find my soul family. And I think often people think in terms of people in the physical, right? Other souls that are contained within a human body, and they want to find them. But remember, you already have a big part of your soul family already with you, and that would be the angels and your spiritual team, right? So you are always at home with us. You always belong with us. We always see you as beautiful. We always see you as already being successful. We see how important you are in the fabric of the universe, okay? It's reminding you how amazing you are. You are a unique and individual light. And if you were ever to try to extinguish your light or deny your soul, or, just be in a lower frequency, that light would be out and there would be a hole in the fabric of the universe. You are important, okay? So this is also a little bit of a poke from the angels, like, hi, don't forget to ask us for help. Remember, they can't help you unless you ask them, right? So it's just kind of like a reminder to make you feel comfortable, to remind you that you belong, that you're safe, you're understood, did I say you're loved? Because that's a given, just to make you feel okay. Now, also pay attention to what you're thinking or feeling in that moment when you see 444, okay? Because that will definitely either help you feel settled or, remind you to ask for help. I'm remembering I was walking home from the grocery store one day, and this was out in New York. I came up on this house and they had their home address on a post, which is weird. Like, most people just have it on the house, but they had it on the house, on the post, on their mailbox, and there was a car parked in their driveway. Well, I noticed the car first. I noticed the license plate. It was 4444. And I was like, huh? And I looked at the post and it was 4444. I'm like, huh? And it was on the mailbox and it was on the house. And I just stood there like, whoa, that's crazy. Okay. And then I had to stop and be like, it shook me for a second. I was like, well, wait a minute. What was I just thinking about? And I had just been worried about, I think, getting angel souls started, or if I had already started it, where I was supposed to go with it. And so they were letting me know, like, it's okay. We're with you. We're going to guide you. All right. So the next very common number sequence that angels will use to get your attention is 777, or some, like 777, whatever. This is like the equivalent of the angels standing up and applauding you, right? This is like them saying, no, you did well. It has a bit, it's not complete. It's not a complete number sequence. What I mean by that is, like, it's not like your lessons are necessarily complete, but you've done something really well. You've done something nice, okay? And there could be, you're on your way to completing some lesson, but that is well done. We're so proud of you. Keep going. Heaven is watching out for you. Heaven has your back, okay? 7 has always been associated with heaven, but it's another reminder that the power of the angels are there. I'm also feeling too, even just right now, that when you see 7s, a lot of 7s, there's an indication there that you have kind of come up a level, okay, through something that you have experienced or something you've realized, some bit of work you've done, but it's a definite kudos from the angels. Now let's go back, and we'll just go through them very, very quickly here. So we covered 1111, and that would also pertain to 111 as well, okay? Now let's say you see repeating 2s. That's balance, all right? So typically when you see that, it's balancing your physical self with your spiritual self, which is Archangel Sandalphon territory. And we'll go back to the ones. You can work with any archangel that you want, but Metatron and Michael can definitely help with the ascension process, opening your third eye, knowing how to use that wisdom that's coming through. Uriel can help you remain grounded and still be in your wisdom, and that would be for the repeating ones. For the 2s, more like Sandalphon, again, Uriel, or whoever you want to work with. Don't worry about that so much. Any angel will be willing to help you out, so long as you are asking. But if you're seeing 2s, there's a need for peace. There's a need to figure out some way of striking a balance. I know I often see 2s when I start getting too busy, and I'm not having much of a life, right? And then I'll see 2s everywhere. I'm like, okay, it's just a reminder. Let's just balance this out. I'm going to put this aside. Let me go do something social with some people and, whatever. All right. So those are the repeating 2s. Repeating 3s. Here's what you'll hear it's a call that the ascended masters want to work with you. But it's so much more than that. Repeating threes is asking you to complete yourself, okay? It's a very holy number. It's the Holy Trinity, right? Depending on what you want to call that, right? But the 3 points, now hang with me here, because people like to put a lot of negativity around this stuff, and that doesn't need to be. But it's asking you to fulfill some spiritual purpose. Now, that might be working with the Ascended Masters. That's one way. For those of you who were raised with this tradition, you can call on the Holy Spirit and having you be a part of this arrangement, right? Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost kind of thing, So however you want to see that, it's just you need to find another way to sort of stabilize your spirituality. I think that's the best way I can put it. It also, 3 points, okay? I forgot to bring my Merkaba over. I knew I was going to forget something. Anyway, Merkabas are triangles, right? One on top of the other. They're kind of, one's inverted over the other one. So think of like the Star of David, but like 3D. That's your Merkaba. And that's all around you. When that gets activated, okay, it's the vehicle that your soul is in, connection to the divine. So it's asking you to expand your awareness, expand your spirituality, be open-minded. Yes, once again, that can involve the Ascended Masters, but that's not just it. All right, there's something much more important happening behind 333. We went over 444. Let's talk about 555. You ready? 555. Fives can be a little tricky, but when the angels are showing you, and we're talking specifically, we're not really going down the I can't even try that. Numerology path. Let's just say that. We'll be here all day. We're not really going that approach. This is sort of the feeling I'm getting from the angels. And this has played out. A lot of people are getting the same message. So fives are all about change. So when the angels show you that, it can mean a few different things. Again, for everybody, it's different. But sometimes I know I've seen fives where it's like, I was complaining in my head. Why is it like this? Why is it like that? Well, boom, make it change. Change it. Do something else. If you don't like what you're doing, change it. This is also an indication, I saw this right before I moved as well, that my situation was about to change, and that sometimes it's for the better. Will they act as a warning? Sometimes. It just depends on how deep in a sleep you are, right? So, and they're giving me the example of somebody who's like smoking and not taking care of their bodies. If you see 555 everywhere, you better change your life. You better turn it around. They're saying road out ahead. Okay, take care of it. Now, again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it's like get ready for it, right? Because we as humans, we don't like change. We don't like going out of our comfort zone too often. So you see that, you can always meditate and be like, okay, what are y'all talking about? What do you want me to know? Okay, and they can explain it to you, or you'll just get a feeling in the moment. Now, I'm not going to say the next sequence. I'm just going to say multiple sixes, which again can have a negative connotation to it, but only if you allow it. The angels rarely use that number combo, but you might find like there's 8 sixes, like boom, 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 boom. That's sort of like, sorry, nice try. Go back to the beginning. You got to do it again. Okay, that would be an indication that you've kind of gotten off path. You're not being in as high a frequency as you could be. You're suffering needlessly. Don't do this to yourself. Okay, so if you see that, don't get too scared. I mean, certain people, it's the intention you put behind it. So if people are trying to do something wicked with it, reflect that out. Okay, just don't let it in. Okay, protective shield around you. The angels will protect you. And I did hear transformation as well. Okay, so that's the energy between 5 and 6. All right, so I guess if you see combos of 5s and 6s, a transformation is being called for. Okay, and going back to the drawing board, trying it again, reworking your plan a little bit. We talked about 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Yay! 8. A lot of people will say, well, that's abundance. And of course it is. It can definitely mean that. There's even a little thing where you can, write an 8 on a card and put it in your wallet. It's supposed to bring you abundance. But there's so much more to it than that. It's a continuation. Okay, you will continue on. Sometimes we'll see multiples of 8 when we're going through a hard time, or maybe, God forbid, somebody's just lost their job, for example, and all of a sudden you see 8s. Well, yeah, you might have an abundance of opportunities coming to you, an abundance of money eventually coming from that, but it's saying you will go on. You will keep moving through this. So that's one way to take it. The other thing with the 8s is that it's a reminder that we are infinite energy, okay? There is no end. So this will often, I think the angels kind of give this to people sometimes if they're grieving and, they're just really, really hurting. It's a reminder. If you turn an 8 on its side, it's the infinity symbol. So there is no true end. So just remember that if you see 8s and you're like, woohoo, that means money. It also is reminding you how special you are. And that, again, there's that word infinite. There's infinite possibilities. You're an infinite being. You will move on through this. Nothing's going to hold you down. Okay. Then we get to 9s. Okay, so 9s are cool. This is basically like you did it, you graduated, you completed it. So whatever you were thinking of in that moment, know that you won't ever have to deal with that again. I started seeing repeating 9s when I was in a very, very bad job situation where I was getting sexually harassed, and I learned how to respect myself and to get myself out of that situation and to get myself to some bit of stability and safety. And I started seeing 9s everywhere, and I knew I'm never going to have to deal with that again, because even if somebody tries me, like I've already gotten through it once, I can get through it again because I'm so much wiser now. So it is, again, like I said, like a graduation. It's like wisdom earned, good job, you've completed that, it's done. Now, if you see repeating 9s, and let's say you have, I don't know, an old dream that you keep going for and going for and going for, and it's just not working out, and you see the 9s, it's time to move on from that, okay? That was a building block. Now it's time to expand your horizon. It's time to expand and understand more of your talents. So that's the base of it. A lot of times people are like, well, what about zeros? What if I see repeating zeros? I don't know that the angels use that too much, but if they were, they're saying it's a fullness. It's a clean slate. But the need to release some emotions too. So that's interesting that it would be associated with emotions and the need to release. But basically getting to a point where you're just like, I'm going to wipe all of it out, start fresh, and start over. Now there's one more. We're not going to get into all the crazy number combos. There's a couple of great resources that you can consult just to get the feeling for what the number itself means. And then, of course, like we said at the beginning of the video, if you want to go further in depth, then you might get a personal reading from someone. But what is it? Joanna Sacred Scribe. I'll leave her website down below. Great resource. I mean, this is the most comprehensive, most incredible list of numbers I have ever seen. And she does come from the angel perspective, so that's nice. Doreen Virtue actually has an app, but the only thing with the app is, last I heard, I think you can only put 3 digits in at a time. So you do have resources. If there's a specific number that you want to know, number combo that you want to know the meaning to, you can go to that. Now, we can get complicated here, but there's one more combo that it's actually pretty common for whatever reason these days, and that's 9/11. Now, let's talk about that. I have heard people say things like, oh my gosh, that's an emergency number. Yeah, if you're American, I don't know if in Canada 911 is going to get you an emergency connection. Do you know what I mean? Also, we have a bad connotation with 9/11 here in the United States because of September 11th. And I think that becomes a psychological thing. But if you clear that away, if you're American and you can clear that away, everybody else, I don't think you have that same connotation with those numbers. But if you just purely look at what it is, 9 is what again? Completion, graduation. 11 is what again? A call to ascension. Okay, wake up. All right, so it's time to wake up, get to the next level. Let this be done. Don't keep dragging it out. Don't keep paying off debt that you've already paid off, whether that's karmic or otherwise. Let that be done so that you can start fresh. There's also the 9/11 also is a bit of a call to action. It's asking you to wake up. It's time. Okay, you've been here too long. Okay, move on to the next thing. All right. So that's just a quick little glimpse at some of these angel numbers. It does get in depth, but hopefully that was helpful for you. And I am, as always, sending you my love. Take care.